This 4-year-old beggar girl gets hit by a cop in the middle of the street, but a millionaire saw everything and does something that shocks everyone. Comment what you think will happen. Your opinion is very important. And subscribe to my channel to support my work. Your help is very important. The scream sliced through the muggy afternoon air of downtown Willow Creek like a razor. Lily, barely 6 years old, ran desperately through the cracked sidewalks of Main Street, her worn-out sneakers barely keeping up with the frantic pace of her tiny feet. Tears streamed down her dirty face, mixing with the dust the wind kicked up from the broken pavement. "Get back here, you little brat!" Sergeant Miller's bellow echoed through the narrow alleyways, causing local shopkeepers to peek out of their storefronts to see what was happening. The police officer, a burly man in his late 40s, pursued the girl with a determination that seemed disproportionate for someone so small and defenseless. Lily darted around the corner of Elm Street, nearly tripping on the uneven sidewalk. Her heart beat so hard she thought it would explode in her chest. She hadn't stolen anything. She was just gazing at the colorful candies in the window of Mr. Henderson's general store when the officer saw her and immediately accused her of shoplifting. The busy afternoon meant dozens of people were walking down the street, but no one stopped to help a child in distress. Some looked with curiosity, others with indifference, but all continued their lives as if nothing were happening. It was as if Lily were invisible, just another urban problem they preferred to ignore. At the corner of Oak Street and Central Avenue, the girl slipped on the wet pavement from a light drizzle that was starting to fall. She fell to her knees, scraping her skin through the thin fabric of her patched-up dress. The physical pain was nothing compared to the terror she felt as the officer quickly approached. "Now I've got you," Sergeant Miller shouted, reaching her with a face red with anger. Without hesitation, he shoved Lily hard, causing the girl to fall again, this time hitting her elbow on the curb. "You little bum. Learn not to touch what isn't yours." Lily's sobs intensified. She tried to get up, but her legs trembled so much she couldn't keep her balance. The officer prepared to push her again when a firm voice cut through the air. "What do you think you're doing?" Mr. Harrison had just left a meeting with an important client when he witnessed the scene from inside his black Escalade. At 52 years old, the businessman was known in Willow Creek for his successful furniture company and his reserved personality. He had lost his wife Carol 5 years ago in a tragic accident and had since dedicated himself obsessively to work to try to fill the void in his heart. But something about seeing a child being mistreated sparked an anger he hadn't felt in years. Without a second thought, he stopped the car and got out, walking towards the officer with determined steps. "This is none of your business, citizen," Sergeant Miller replied, trying to maintain his authority. "The girl was stealing from the store over there." "She's 6 years old," Mr. Harrison retorted, his voice filled with indignation. "And even if she had done something, that doesn't justify treating her like an animal." Lily looked at the man who had come to defend her. He was tall, with well-groomed grey hair, and wore a dark suit that contrasted with her own tattered clothes. There was an authority in his posture that even made the officer take a step back. "You don't know who you're talking to," the sergeant tried to intimidate, but his voice no longer sounded so convincing. "I know exactly who I'm talking to," Mr. Harrison said, taking his wallet out of his pocket and showing his ID. "Mr. Harrison, owner of Harrison Furniture, and you're going to explain exactly why you're assaulting a child in broad daylight." A small group of onlookers had formed around the scene. Mr. Harrison realized he was being watched, but he didn't care. There was something in those frightened eyes of Lily's that touched him deeply, awakening a protective instinct he thought he had lost forever. The officer, realizing that the situation had gotten out of control and that he was being observed by several people, including someone obviously influential in the town, quickly changed his attitude. "There's been a misunderstanding," he muttered, adjusting his uniform. "The girl can go." Mr. Harrison knelt beside Lily, who was still trembling on the ground. "Are you hurt?" he asked gently, examining the scrapes on her knees. Lily shook her head, but her tears kept falling. "I didn't take anything," she whispered with a choked voice. "I was just looking at the candy." "I know," Mr. Harrison said, offering his hand to help her up. "What's your name?" "Lily," she replied shyly, accepting his help. "Lily is a beautiful name, like the flower." Mr. Harrison smiled for the first time in a long time. "Where are your parents?" "I live with my grandma Bess," the girl explained, wiping her nose with the back of her hand. "She's working." Mr. Harrison looked around, noticing how alone and seemingly helpless the girl was. Her clothes were clean, but visibly patched several times. There was something about her situation that reminded him of his own difficult childhood before he managed to prosper in business. "Do you want me to take you home?" he offered. Lily hesitated. Bess always warned her about not talking to strangers, but there was something in this man's voice that made her feel safe. Besides, he had protected her when she needed it most. "Grandma won't like it," she said, looking at her own feet. "Then let's talk to her together," Mr. Harrison suggested. "That way she'll know you're safe." As they walked down the street towards the address Lily had given Mr. Harrison couldn't stop thinking about what he had witnessed. The indifference of the people, the unnecessary brutality of the officer, and above all, the look of despair on that child's face, who seemed to carry the weight of the world on her little shoulders. Unbeknownst to him, he was about to discover that Lily carried secrets far heavier than any child should bear. Zito's Auto Repair was at the end of Willow Street, an old brick building that housed cars in various stages of repair. The strong smell of motor oil and grease permeated the air, mixing with the aroma of coffee coming from a small bakery nearby. It was there, in the back of that noisy and dirty place, that Lily called home. Mr. Harrison followed the girl through a narrow corridor that separated the main garage from a reserved area. At the end of the hallway, a peeling wooden door gave access to a small, stuffy room that served as a dwelling for Lily and her grandmother. There were no windows, only a cracked skylight that let in dim, yellowish light. "Grandma Bess!" Lily called, pushing open the heavy door. "There's a man here who helped me!" From inside the room came a dry, persistent cough, followed by the sound of shuffling footsteps. Bess Taylor appeared in the doorway, a 67-year-old woman with grey hair pulled back in a messy bun. Her hands trembled slightly as she leaned on the frame, and Mr. Harrison immediately noticed the sickly pallor of her skin. "What happened, honey?" Bess asked, examining the scratches on Lily's knees with obvious concern. "A police officer was bothering your granddaughter," Mr. Harrison explained respectfully. "I intervened in the situation and wanted to make sure she got home safely." Bess looked at the well-dressed man with a mixture of gratitude and suspicion. In her many years of life, she had learned that wealthy people rarely took an interest in the problems of the poor without ulterior motives. "Thank you very much, sir," she said, pulling Lily close to her. "You didn't need to bother yourself." "It was no trouble at all, Mr. Harrison replied, discreetly observing the precarious conditions in which they lived. The room was clean, but it was impossible to ignore the moisture staining the walls and the sparse, dilapidated furniture. "Lily told me that you work. May I ask what you do?" Bess hesitated before answering. "I do cleaning in some houses around town. Lily stays with Mindy when I need to go." "Mindy?" Mr. Harrison questioned. "My neighbor. She takes care of the girl when I can't." Bess gripped the doorframe more firmly, and Mr. Harrison realized she was fighting off a wave of weakness. Lily noticed her grandmother's discomfort and ran to get a chair. "Sit here, Grandma. You're tired again." The scene touched Mr. Harrison deeply. There was something profoundly wrong with the dynamic of that situation. A 6-year-old child taking care of her own caretaker. He saw in Bess the signs of someone who was hiding a serious health condition. "Mrs. Taylor," he said carefully, "I own Harrison Furniture. We're always needing people for cleaning and organizing. Would you be interested?" Bess raised her eyes, surprised. You're offering me work? I am. The pay would be better than odd jobs, and we'd have more flexible hours. Mr. Harrison took a card out of his pocket. If you want to think about it, you can call me. The woman took the card with trembling hands, as if she were holding something very precious. I really appreciate it, Mr. Harrison. I really need a more stable job. Great. You can start Monday if you want. He turned to Lily, who was watching the conversation attentively. And you, young lady, do you go to school? Yes, I do, Lily replied, pointing to a small, patched-up backpack in the corner of the room. I like to study. That's good. Education is very important. Mr. Harrison smiled at her, feeling a strange familiarity with that brave child. After Mr. Harrison left, Bess sat heavily on the bed, holding the card against her chest. Lily approached, worried about her grandmother's distant expression. "Grandma, are you okay?" "I'm fine, my flower," Bess lied, trying to smile. "Looks like our luck is changing." But the truth was that Bess knew her time was running out. For months, she had been hiding the symptoms that worsened every day, the constant dizziness, the shortness of breath, the chest pain that kept her awake during the night. She had no money for doctors and feared leaving Lily alone in the world. What tormented her the most, however, was the secret about Rose, Lily's mother. It hadn't been a mysterious disappearance, as she had always told her granddaughter. Rose had left in desperate circumstances, leaving only a gold bracelet as a memento, and a story that Bess had promised never to tell. The next morning, Lily woke up to the sound of voices coming from the hallway. It was Mindy talking to someone outside. The girl got up silently, being careful not to wake Bess, who had spent the night coughing. Mindy Collins was a 45-year-old woman, a mother of 3, and known in the neighborhood for her generosity. She worked as a cleaning lady in houses downtown and always found time to help those in need. When she saw Bess arriving in the neighborhood 2 years ago with a small child, she didn't hesitate to offer support. "Good morning, Lily," Mindy said when the girl appeared at the door. "How did your grandma spend the night?" "She coughed a lot," Lily admitted, worried, "and she hardly ate anything at dinner." Mindy sighed, knowing the signs well. "Come here, sweetheart. I need to talk to you." They sat on the steps of the garage, watching the morning activity of the street. Mindy chose her words carefully. "Lily, you know that your grandma hasn't been well, right?" The girl nodded sadly. "She thinks I don't notice, but I see that she's sick. Your grandma is very stubborn. She doesn't want to go to the doctor because she's afraid of spending money you don't have." Mindy put her hand on Lily's shoulder. "But yesterday a man came here asking about you. He said he offered her a job. It's Mr. Harrison. He helped me when that mean policeman wanted to hurt me." "That's right. And maybe that job is exactly what you need." Mindy hesitated before continuing. "Lily, if something happens to your grandma, you know you can count on me, right?" The question made Lily feel a chill in her stomach. Is something going to happen to her? "I don't know, honey. But I want you to know that you're not alone in the world." At that moment, Bess appeared at the door, wearing her best dress, which was actually the only decent dress she owned. "I'm going to the factory to talk to Mr. Harrison," she announced, trying to demonstrate more energy than she really had. "Do you want me to go with you?" Mindy offered. "No need. It's better if I go alone." Bess kissed Lily's forehead. "Stay here with Aunt Mindy. I'll be back soon." As Bess walked away down the street, Mindy watched her slow, unsteady gait. There was something she hadn't told anyone. The week before, she had found Bess passed out in the garage bathroom. The woman had begged her to keep it a secret, claiming that if Lily found out, she would be terrified. But Mindy suspected that there was much more behind their situation than met the eye. In 2 years of living with Bess and Lily, she had never been able to fully understand how they had arrived in that place, nor why an obviously educated woman lived in such precarious conditions. There was also the matter of the bracelet that Lily always wore, a piece clearly too expensive for someone in her situation. When asked about it, both Bess and Lily quickly changed the subject. Mindy had a feeling that dangerous secrets surrounded that family and that Mr. Harrison's arrival in their lives could be both a salvation and the beginning of complications that none of them were prepared to face. Harrison Furniture occupied a large lot in the industrial zone of Willow Creek, with modern warehouses that contrasted with the colonial architecture of the historic center. Bess stopped in front of the iron gates, intimidated by the magnitude of the enterprise. The sound of electric saws and industrial machines echoed from inside, mixing with the characteristic aroma of freshly cut wood. In the administrative office, Mr. Harrison was reviewing contracts when his secretary announced Bess's arrival. He greeted her personally, immediately noticing how the woman looked even more fragile than the day before. "Mrs. Bess, I'm so glad you came," Mr. Harrison said, gesturing to a comfortable chair. "Would you like to see the factory before we talk about the job?" "If it's not too much trouble," she replied, trying to hide the weariness she felt just from walking there. During the tour of the facility, Mr. Harrison discreetly observed Bess's reactions. She demonstrated knowledge of industrial organization and cleaning, asking pertinent questions that revealed prior experience. There was something in her demeanor that suggested a different past than her current circumstances indicated. "Have you worked in a factory before?" he asked, as they walked through the finishing sector. "A long time ago," Bess replied vaguely. Before my daughter was born." Mr. Harrison noticed the hesitation in her voice when she mentioned her daughter. "Lily told me that you live alone with her." "Her mother? She's no longer with us," Bess interrupted quickly, using the same phrase she always repeated to Lily. "It's just me and the girl now." Back in the office, Mr. Harrison offered her the terms of employment: flexible hours, above-average local salary, and the possibility of bringing Lily on days when she had no one to leave her with. The tears that welled up in Bess's eyes revealed how much that offer meant. "You don't even know me," she said, wiping her face with the back of her hand. "Why are you being so kind?" "Because I recognize someone who is struggling to take care of a child," Mr. Harrison replied sincerely. "And because Lily reminded me of some important things I had forgotten." "What kind of things?" "That there are still good people in the world, that a child deserves to be protected, that sometimes a little help can change everything." He paused, thinking of Carol and how she always cared about the less fortunate. "My wife used to say that helping others was a way to honor the blessings we receive." Bess accepted the job with overflowing gratitude, but on the way back home, she was overcome by such a violent coughing fit that she had to lean against the wall of a house to avoid falling. When she finally managed to control herself, she noticed small spots of blood on her handkerchief. Fear paralyzed her for a few minutes. She knew she could no longer postpone a doctor's appointment, but she also knew she couldn't afford one. More importantly, she couldn't let Lily discover the severity of her condition. Meanwhile, at the garage, Lily was playing in the backyard with pieces of wood that Zito had given her. The girl had always demonstrated impressive manual skill for her age, building small objects with creativity and precision. Mindy watched, impressed by the child's concentration. "That's so cute, Lily. What are you making?" "A birdhouse," the girl replied, carefully fitting the pieces together. "My mum taught me before she left." Mindy approached, intrigued. "Your mother knew about woodworking?" "She knew how to make a lot of beautiful things," Lily said, with a sadness that touched Mindy's heart. "Sometimes I dream about her teaching me how to make real furniture." "And do you remember her well?" Lily stopped playing, instinctively touching the gold bracelet she never took off her wrist. "I remember her perfume and how she sang me to sleep, and I remember the day she gave me this." "Can I see?" Mindy asked gently. The girl extended her arm, revealing a delicate bracelet with small carved flowers and an almost imperceptible inscription on the inside. Mindy frowned, trying to decipher the tiny letters. "I can't read it very well," she admitted, "but it's very pretty. It must have cost a lot." Grandma Bess said it was from my mom's family, Lily explained, and that one day I'll understand why it's so important to keep it. At that moment, Bess arrived back, visibly exhausted but with a smile on her face. "I got the job," she announced, hugging Lily tightly. "That's great, Grandma. Now you're going to get better," the girl asked hopefully. "Yes, my flower, now our life will get better." Mindy noticed that Bess was avoiding her gaze, and she suspected that her friend was hiding something important. She decided to talk to her in private later. In the late afternoon, while Lily was sleeping, Mindy visited Bess in her room. She found the woman sitting on the edge of the bed, staring at an old photograph. "Is that Rose?" Mindy asked, sitting down beside her. "It is," Bess confirmed, showing the image of a young dark-haired woman with sad eyes, holding a baby Lily. "My daughter was so beautiful, so intelligent. She deserved a better life than she had. Bess, you've never really told me what happened to her." The older woman sighed deeply. "Some things are better left in the past, Mindy. What matters is taking care of Lily now. But if something happens to you, someone needs to know the truth, for the girl's sake." Bess turned, tears in her eyes. "Do you promise that you'll take care of her if I can't anymore?" "Of course I promise. But why are you talking like this?" "Because—" Bess hesitated, struggling between the need to share the burden she carried and the fear of putting others in danger. "Because Rose's story is more complicated than it seems. And because that bracelet that Lily wears could bring her trouble in the future." "What kind of trouble?" Before Bess could answer, they heard the sound of an engine stopping in front of the garage. Through the small window, they saw a black car with tinted windows parked on the street. Two people got out of the vehicle and walked towards the entrance of the garage. "My God," Bess whispered, paling even more. "They've found where we are." "Who found you?" Mindy asked, alarmed. "The people who made my daughter leave," Bess revealed, trembling. "The people who want that bracelet back." The sound of footsteps approaching through the corridor made both women stand up. Bess ran to check if Lily was still sleeping and signaled for Mindy to be quiet. "Mrs. Bess Taylor," a male voice said authoritatively from outside, "we need to talk to you about your granddaughter." Bess closed her eyes, knowing that the moment she feared most had arrived. The past had finally found them, and now Lily was in danger. "What do I do?" she whispered to Mindy, who was just as scared as she was. "Don't open the door," Mindy advised. "I'll call Zito." But when they turned, they realized that Lily had woken up to the voices and was standing in the doorway of the room, holding her battered teddy bear and looking at the door with fear. "Grandma, who are those people?" the girl asked with a trembling voice. Bess knew she could no longer protect Lily from the truth she'd been trying to hide for 2 years. The moment to tell her about Rose, about the bracelet, and about the danger that had always surrounded them, had arrived in a much more brutal way than she had imagined. The silence in the small room was so dense that it seemed to suffocate the three women. Bess held Lily close to her, while Mindy positioned herself strategically near the back door in case they needed to flee. The knocks on the front door became more insistent. "Mrs. Taylor, we know you're in there," said a female voice this time, with an apparently gentler tone, but one that carried a cold authority. "We're from social services. We received a report about the living conditions of the minor." Mindy and Bess exchanged glances. Both knew that this was not true. There was nothing social services like about that approach. "Grandma, why are you scared?" Lily whispered, noticing the tension in her grandmother's body. "Shh, my flower," Bess murmured. "Be quiet." Zito appeared at the back door, having heard the commotion. The mechanic, a 50-year-old man with hands permanently stained with grease, had grown fond of the two tenants and sensed that something was wrong. "What's going on here?" he asked in a low voice. "There are people out front wanting to talk to Bess," Mindy explained quickly. "She's scared." Zito frowned and went out to investigate. He returned a few minutes later with a worried expression. "They're two well-dressed people in an expensive car. The man looks like a lawyer, and the woman, I don't know. "There's something about her that doesn't inspire confidence," he reported. "They said something about documents and legal matters." Bess closed her eyes, breathing with difficulty. She knew this moment would come, but she had hoped to have more time to prepare Lily. "Zito, can you do me a favor?" she asked. "Can you call Mr. Harrison from the furniture factory? Tell him that Bess needs urgent help." "Sure, but do you want me to send them away?" "It's no use. If not today, they'll be back tomorrow." Bess knelt in front of Lily, holding the girl's face between her trembling hands. "My dear, I need to tell you something very important about your mom." Lily widened her eyes. "What, Grandma?" "Your mother. She didn't go to heaven like I always said." The words came out with difficulty from Bess's throat. "She had to leave to protect you." "Protect me from what?" "From bad people who wanted something that belonged to our family." Bess touched the bracelet on Lily's wrist. "This bracelet isn't just a memento, my flower. It's very valuable, and some people did bad things to try to get it." Mindy listened in shock, finally understanding why Bess always changed the subject when asked about the past. "Your mother worked as a maid in a rich house here in Willow Creek," Bess continued, knowing she needed to tell everything before it was too late. "The Campbell family. They have land and a lot of money, but they do dirty business. Your mother found things she shouldn't have found." "What kind of things?" Lily asked, even without fully understanding. "Papers that proved they were stealing money from the government." "Your mother couldn't read very well, but she heard conversations and saw documents. When they realized that she knew, they were afraid she'd tell someone." The knocks on the door resumed, louder this time. "And the bracelet?" Lily insisted. "It belonged to your mother's boss. Mrs. Campbell had lost it in a bet, and a very rich man from another city won it from her. But the family never accepted the loss." Bess took a deep breath. "Your mother found the bracelet forgotten in a drawer and took it when she ran away, thinking she could sell it and get money to take care of you." "So my mom's a thief?" Lily asked, with tears filling her eyes. "No, my dear. Your mother is a victim. That family did terrible things to her, and she only took the bracelet because she was desperate." Bess hugged her granddaughter tightly. "But when they discovered that she had taken the bracelet, they were furious. They said that if she didn't return it, something bad would happen to you." Mindy covered her mouth, horrified by the revelation. "That's why she left?" Lily sobbed. "That's why she left. To protect you. She gave me you and the bracelet, and she said that one day, when you were older, you'd be able to prove that the bracelet belongs to our family by right." At that moment, Zito came running back. "Mr. Harrison is coming here, but more people are arriving. It looks like it's the real city officials now." Bess felt the world spin around her. The situation was getting completely out of control. "Grandma, you're feeling sick!" Lily exclaimed, seeing the extreme pallor on Bess's face. The older woman really was feeling terrible. The tension of the situation, combined with her already weakened health condition, was taking a heavy toll. She began to cough violently, and this time she couldn't hide the blood. "My God, Bess!" Mindy cried, running to support her. It was at that moment that Mr. Harrison arrived at the garage. He had driven at high speed from the factory, intrigued by the urgent phone call. Upon entering the back corridor, he found a scene of chaos. Bess passed out in Mindy's arms, Lily crying desperately, and Zito trying to explain about unknown people at the front door. "What's going on here?" Mr. Harrison asked, immediately kneeling beside Bess. "She fainted after telling Lily some things," Mindy explained quickly, "and there are people outside wanting to talk to them about I don't know what documents." Mr. Harrison checked Bess's pulse. It was weak and irregular. "We need to get her to the hospital immediately." He looked at Lily, who was clearly panicked. "And someone needs to explain to me why there are strangers looking for you." "Mr. Harrison," Lily said between sobs, "Grandma said my mom didn't die. She said she left to protect me from bad people who want my bracelet." Mr. Harrison looked at the bracelet on the girl's wrist, seeing it in a different light for the first time. There was something about that piece that definitely didn't match the family's financial situation. "Mindy, can you stay with Lily for a few minutes?" he asked. "I'm going to talk to those people out front, and then we'll take Bess to the doctor." "Be careful, Mr. Harrison," Zito warned. They didn't seem like good people. Mr. Harrison headed to the front of the garage with determination. He found two people waiting, a man in a dark suit and an elegant woman, both showing impatience. "Are you related to the Taylors?" the man asked as soon as he saw Mr. Harrison. "I'm a friend of the family. Can I help you with something?" "Dr. Mark Campbell, attorney," the man introduced himself, extending a card. "And this is Bernice Lewis, social worker. We're here on a legal matter involving the minor, Lily Taylor." Mr. Harrison took the card, noting that the last name, Campbell, was the same that Bess had mentioned in the story about Lily's mother. The coincidence put him on alert. "What kind of legal matter?" "The child is under the care of a person who is unable to care for her properly," the woman explained. "We received information that they live in precarious conditions and that the minor may be at risk." "And who made this report?" Mr. Harrison asked, suspicious. "That's confidential," the lawyer replied, "but we have authorization for an assessment of the child's living conditions." Mr. Harrison realized that he was facing something much more complex than a simple social services issue. The timing of the visit, right after Bess got the job, seemed too suspicious to be a coincidence. "Mrs. Taylor is feeling unwell at the moment and needs medical attention," he informed them. "Any legal matters will have to wait." "We understand," the woman said, but her tone suggested irritation. "We'll be back another time." As the two walked away, Mr. Harrison felt that there was much more behind that visit than met the eye, and he had the feeling that Lily was at the center of something dangerous that he didn't yet fully comprehend. St. Jude's Hospital was bustling that Thursday afternoon. Mr. Harrison carried Bess in his arms, followed by Mindy, who held Lily's hand tightly. The girl kept looking at her unconscious grandmother, tears streaming silently down her face. "Please, is she going to be okay?" Lily asked for the 10th time to the on-call doctor, Dr. Fernandez, who was examining Bess in the emergency room. "We're going to run all the necessary tests, honey," the doctor replied gently, but his worried expression didn't go unnoticed by Mr. Harrison. While they waited for the results, Mr. Harrison sat next to Lily in the waiting room. The girl held her battered teddy bear and fidgeted nervously with the gold bracelet. "Mr. Harrison, Grandma said things that confused me," she said, looking at him with her big, sad eyes. "Do you want to talk about it? She said my mom didn't die, that she left to protect me, but if she's alive, why doesn't she come back to see me?" Mr. Harrison felt his heart clench. How to explain to a 6-year-old the complexities of a situation he himself didn't fully understand? "Sometimes adults need to make very difficult decisions to protect the people they love," he said carefully. "Your mother must have very important reasons for being away." "But I miss her every day," Lily whispered. "Sometimes I dream that she comes back and takes me to a place where I can have my own room and new toys." "And would you like that?" Lily thought for a moment. "I'd like to meet my mom, but I'm afraid to leave Grandma alone. And now that I've met you, you're kind to me, like your family." Before Mr. Harrison could answer, Dr. Fernandez approached with a grave expression. "Can I speak with you in private?" Mr. Harrison asked Mindy to stay with Lily and followed the doctor to a reserved corner. "Mrs. Taylor's condition is more serious than she's been admitting," the doctor began. "She has advanced tuberculosis, in addition to signs of severe malnutrition. From what I see in the tests, she's been hiding the symptoms for months." "Tuberculosis?" Mr. Harrison repeated, shocked. "It's a treatable disease, but in the stage she's in, it will require prolonged hospitalization and expensive medication. Without proper treatment—" The doctor didn't need to complete the sentence. "And how much would the treatment cost?" Between medication, hospitalization, and follow-up, we're talking about at least $15,000 over the next 6 months. Mr. Harrison didn't hesitate. Do all the necessary procedures. I'll take responsibility for the costs. Are you sure? That's a considerable amount. I'm absolutely sure. Mrs. Taylor is important to me and to a child who needs her. When they returned to the waiting room, Lily ran to Mr. Harrison. How's my grandma? She's sick, but the doctors are going to take good care of her, he explained, choosing his words carefully. She'll need to stay in the hospital for a while to get better. Can I stay here with her? No, honey. But you can visit her every day. Mindy approached, worried. Mr. Harrison, if Bess is going to be hospitalized, what happens to Lily? I can take care of her, but I live in a small house with my 3 kids. It was at that moment that Mr. Harrison made a decision that would change his life forever. Lily can stay with me. What do you mean? Mindy asked, surprised. I have a big house, too empty for one person. Lily can stay there until her grandmother recovers. But Mr. Harrison, you barely know me, Lily said, confused. I know enough to know that you're a special girl who deserves to be taken care of. He knelt in front of her. Of course, only if you want to. What do you think? Lily looked at Mindy, who nodded encouragingly, then at the door of the room where Bess was being medicated. Can I still come see Grandma? Every day if you want. Then, okay, but only until she gets better. On the way to Mr. Harrison's house, they stopped at the garage to pick up Lily's few clothes. Zito was waiting for them with a worried expression. More people showed up here looking for you, he informed them. This time it was a private investigator. He left this card and said he'd be back. Mr. Harrison took the card. Paul Vance, Private Investigations. On the back, there was a handwritten note. Need to talk about Rose Taylor and the bracelet. It's urgent. Zito, if anyone else comes looking for them, can you give them my phone number and say that I've taken responsibility for Lily temporarily? Sure, but are you sure about what you're doing? It seems like this story has more problems than it appears. I'm sure, Mr. Harrison replied, looking at Lily, who was organizing her few clothes into a plastic bag. Mr. Harrison's house was in the upscale neighborhood of Green Meadows, an area of Willow Creek with large, well-kept homes. When the electronic gate opened, Lily widened her eyes at the sight of the 2-story mansion with an extensive garden and swimming pool. Wow, is this where you live? She asked, impressed. This is where we're going to live for now, Mr. Harrison corrected, noting how the word we came naturally from his lips. The interior of the house was elegant but cold, with expensive furniture that clearly wasn't used by children. Mr. Harrison realized that he had no idea how to take care of a 6-year-old girl. You must be hungry, he said, opening the practically empty refrigerator. What do you like to eat? Anything is fine, Lily replied politely. At Grandma's house, we ate what we had. The answer made Mr. Harrison realize how much that child was used to not demanding anything. How about we go to the supermarket and you choose some things you like? Lily's eyes lit up. Can I really choose? You can choose whatever you want. At the supermarket, Lily was ecstatic with the variety of options. She carefully chose some basic items, always asking the price, and if Mr. Harrison was sure she could take them. Lily, you can choose without worrying about the price, he said, touched by the girl's consideration. Grandma always said that we shouldn't spend money that isn't ours, she explained. But now you're with me, and I want you to have everything you need. That night, after they had dinner together and Mr. Harrison had improvised a room for her upstairs, Lily sat on the new bed and looked around the spacious and quiet room. Mr. Harrison, she called when he came to say good night. Yes? Why are you being so good to me, even without really knowing me? Mr. Harrison sat on the edge of the bed thinking about the question. You know, Lily, 5 years ago I lost someone very important to me, my wife. Since then I've lived alone in this big house, working a lot to not think about the loneliness. Do you miss her? I miss her a lot, But when I met you, I remembered something she always said, that taking care of people is what gives meaning to life." He gently touched Lily's hair. "Maybe you and I can help each other." "How so?" "You help me not feel so alone, and I help you feel protected while your grandmother gets better." Lily smiled for the first time in days. "I'd like that." But while the girl fell asleep in her new bed, Mr. Harrison remained awake downstairs, thinking about the private investigator who had looked for them. There was something about that whole situation that bothered him deeply. He picked up Paul Vance's card and, after hesitating for a few minutes, decided to call. The phone rang several times before someone answered. "Vance, this is Mr. Harrison. You left a card looking for Lily Taylor and her grandmother." "Mr. Harrison, I'm glad you called. I urgently need to talk to you about this family. It's a matter of life and death." The phrase made Mr. Harrison's blood run cold. Life or death? The girl's mother, Rose Taylor, is in grave danger. And if the Campbells find out where the child is, she'll be at risk too. Mr. Harrison looked at the ceiling, knowing that Lily was sleeping upstairs, completely unaware of the dangers that surrounded her. "Can we meet early tomorrow?" he asked. The sooner the better. Each passing day the situation gets more dangerous. When he hung up the phone, Mr. Harrison realized that taking responsibility for Lily had been just the beginning of a much more complex and dangerous journey than he had imagined. The dawn in Willow Creek brought a dense fog that covered the hills around the town. Mr. Harrison had slept only 2 hours, tormented by thoughts about the dangers that surrounded Lily. At 6 in the morning, he left the girl still sleeping and headed to the Coffee Bean, where he had arranged to meet with the investigator, Paul Vance. The establishment was almost empty, just a few workers having coffee before starting their shift. Mr. Harrison recognized Vance immediately, a lean 40-year-old man with a watchful gaze and a small scar on his forehead that suggested experience in dangerous situations. "Mr. Harrison," the investigator asked, rising from a table in the corner. "Thank you for agreeing to meet me so early," Mr. Harrison said, sitting down across from him. "The situation doesn't allow for delay." Vance opened a discreet folder. "I need you to understand exactly what you're dealing with by protecting the Taylor family." "I'm listening." "The Campbell family isn't just rich and influential in Willow Creek. They're involved in a money laundering scheme that moves millions through fraudulent bids." The investigator showed some photographs. "Mark Campbell, the patriarch, has connections with corrupt politicians and businessmen in various cities in the region." Mr. Harrison examined the photos, recognizing some familiar faces from local politics. And Lily's mother discovered this. Rose Taylor was a maid in their house for 3 years, a simple girl who barely knew how to read, but very observant. Vance took an audio recording from his pocket. "I got this recording of a conversation she had with me a few days before she disappeared." The investigator activated the device. The voice of a young woman, clearly nervous, began to speak. "Mr. Vance, I know you investigate the wrong things that people do. I work in the house of rich people, and I saw papers that I think I shouldn't have seen. They talk about money that comes from strange places, and my boss always hides documents when I enter the office. She's afraid someone will find out something?" The recording continued, with Rose describing conversations she had heard about accounts in different banks and payments made to local politicians. Her voice trembled with fear, but there was a determination in her that touched Mr. Harrison. "Why did she come to you?" he asked when the recording ended. "Because she suspected that the stolen money was intended for public works, including hospitals and schools. That bothered her a lot. She said the money of poor children was being stolen." "And the bracelet?" Vance sighed. "That's the most complicated part. The bracelet originally belonged to Isabella Campbell, the matriarch of the family. She lost it in a bet to a merchant from Chicago about 5 years ago. Mark never accepted the loss. That bracelet was a family heirloom, with genuine diamonds and an inscription that proves the Campbell lineage. So Rose stole it?" "Not exactly. Isabella had lied to her husband, saying that the bracelet had been stolen by robbers. When Rose found it in a forgotten drawer and realized its value, she took it, thinking that no one would miss it. The investigator paused. But Isabella noticed it was missing and deduced who had taken it. And that's when the threats began. Mark gave Rose an ultimatum. Either she returned the bracelet and never told what she had seen in their house, or something bad would happen to her daughter. Vance showed another photo, this time of Lily playing in the backyard of the garage. They were watching the family for months. Mr. Harrison felt a deep anger grow in his chest. Where is Rose now? Hidden in a small town near Springfield, working under a false name in a textile factory. But she's sick, very sick. The stress and the precarious living conditions are taking their toll. Sick how? Heart problem. She needs urgent surgery, but she doesn't have money or documents to seek medical help. Mr. Harrison processed all the information, feeling the weight of the responsibility he had assumed. And why did the Campbells show up now, after 2 years? Because they're being investigated by the IRS. They need all the compromising documents back, and they suspect that Rose may have taken something besides the bracelet. The investigator leaned forward. Mr. Harrison, they won't stop until they recover everything, and if they find out that the girl is with you, they'll come after me too, Mr. Harrison completed. Exactly. Mark Campbell isn't known for his patience or moral scruples. At that moment, Mr. Harrison's cell phone rang. It was Mindy, clearly agitated. Mr. Harrison, sorry to bother you so early, but there are people at Bess's house again. This time, there are 3 people, and they're turning everything upside down in there. Do they have a court order? I don't know, but Zito is trying to stop them. They said they're going to look for Lily. Mr. Harrison looked at Vance, who had heard the conversation. I need to go, the investigator said. They're accelerating the timeline. Wait, Mr. Harrison said. How can I contact Rose? It's risky. Any communication can be tracked. But she deserves to know that her daughter is safe, and Lily deserves to hear from her mother. Vance hesitated, then wrote an address on a piece of paper. It's a boarding house in downtown Springfield. She's registered as Mary Smith. But if you go there, make sure you're not being followed. Mr. Harrison returned home with his heart pounding. He found Lily awake, preparing her own breakfast with the independence of a child accustomed to taking care of herself. Good morning, Mr. Harrison. You left early, she said, smiling. I had to take care of some work things. He sat next to her at the kitchen table. Lily, I need to talk to you about your mother. The girl's eyes widened. Did you find out anything about her? I found out where she is. Lily dropped her spoon, tears instantly welling up. Is she okay? Can I see her? She's alive, but she's going through a hard time, and the situation is complicated because of those people who came looking for you. I don't care if it's complicated. I want to see my mom. Mr. Harrison held Lily's small hands. I promise we'll find a way for you to be reunited. But first, I need to make sure it will be safe for everyone. How long will it take? I don't know, honey, but in the meantime, you need to trust me and do exactly what I say, okay? Lily nodded, but Mr. Harrison could see the anxiety in her eyes. At that moment, the house phone rang. It was the secretary from the factory. Mr. Harrison, there's a woman here asking for you. She said she's a social worker and needs to talk about a child who's under your care. It was the same Bernice who had appeared at the garage. Mr. Harrison realized that the Campbells were intensifying the pressure. Tell her I'll be there in an hour, he replied. After hanging up, he looked at Lily, who was finishing her breakfast in silence. Honey, you're going to stay with Mindy today. I have to take care of some problems, but I'll be back soon. Does it have to do with those bad people? It does, but don't worry. I won't let anyone hurt you. Lily got up and hugged Mr. Harrison tightly. Thank you for taking care of me, Mr. Harrison. Grandma always said that there are angels on earth, and I think you're one of them. The comment touched Mr. Harrison deeply, and for the first time in 5 years, he felt that his life had a real purpose again. But it also intensified his determination to protect that child, even if it meant facing dangerous people. As he drove Lily to Mindy's house, he couldn't stop thinking about the girl's mother, alone and sick in a distant city, sacrificing everything to protect her daughter. It was time for someone to fight for that family, and Mr. Harrison was willing to be that person, regardless of the consequences. But first, he needed to deal with Bernice and find out exactly what the Campbells were planning, because he had the feeling that the worst was yet to come. Harrison Furniture was in full operation when Mr. Harrison arrived, but his mind was far from the usual business issues. Bernice Lewis was waiting for him in the reception area, wearing a formal business suit that contrasted with the simplicity of the industrial environment. There was something in her posture that immediately put Mr. Harrison on alert. "Mr. Harrison, thank you for seeing me," she said, rising with a professional smile. "I need to discuss the situation of the minor, Lily Taylor." "Please, have a seat," Mr. Harrison replied, gesturing to his private office. "Can you explain to me exactly what your role is in this case?" "I'm a social worker accredited by the city of Willow Creek. We received an anonymous report about the living conditions of the child." Bernice opened a folder. "According to the information, the girl was living in an unhealthy environment, under the care of a person with serious health problems. Her grandmother is hospitalized, receiving appropriate medical treatment," Mr. Harrison informed her, "and Lily is temporarily under my care, in a safe and appropriate environment." Bernice made careful notes. "I understand your generosity, but there are legal procedures that must be followed. A child cannot simply be transferred from one person to another without proper evaluation." "Then do the evaluation," Mr. Harrison said firmly. "My house offers much better conditions than any public institution." "It's not a matter of financial conditions, Mr. Harrison. It's a legal matter. Besides," Bernice hesitated as if measuring her words, "there are questions about the very legitimacy of the guardianship that the grandmother exercised over the child." "What do you mean by that?" "We're investigating whether Bess Taylor really has the legal right to care for the girl. There are indications that the documentation may not be in order." Mr. Harrison felt a wave of anger. "Ms. Lewis, with all due respect, this seems more like a persecution than a legitimate investigation." "Mr. Harrison, I suggest you don't make this situation more complicated than it already is." Bernice's tone changed, becoming colder. "There are people interested in the well-being of the child who have considerable resources and influence." "What people?" "That's confidential, but I can say that there's a respectable family interested in adopting Lily, offering her opportunities that a simple person like her grandmother could never provide." Mr. Harrison stood up abruptly. "The conversation is over. Any legal questions about Lily will be handled through lawyers. As you wish, but you should consider what's best for the child, not for your own feelings." Bernice put away her papers. "We'll be talking again soon." After she left, Mr. Harrison immediately called Robert Smith, a family law attorney he had met at business events. "Robert, I urgently need your help with a child custody issue," Mr. Harrison explained, quickly relaying the situation. "Mr. Harrison, without the proper legal documentation, your position is vulnerable," the lawyer warned. "If someone with resources wants to challenge this temporary guardianship, they can succeed. What do I need to do?" "First, let's formalize your position as temporary guardian. Second, we need to investigate who's behind this pressure. And third—" Robert paused. "Are you absolutely sure you want to get involved in this? It sounds like a complicated situation." "I'm absolutely sure. Lily is a special child, and I won't abandon her." Meanwhile, at Mindy's house, Lily was helping to take care of the neighbors' children. David, 16, Carla, 12, and Peter, 8. The girl had always demonstrated maturity beyond her age, the result of a life that had forced her to grow up quickly. "Lily, is that rich man really going to take care of you?" Carla asked, curious. Mr. Harrison is very good to me. He has a big house and said I can choose what I want to eat, Lily replied, but there was a sadness in her voice. You don't seem happy, observed David, who had developed a special affection for the girl. I'm happy, but I'm also scared, Lily admitted. There are bad people wanting to take me away from Mr. Harrison and Grandma. Mindy, who was listening to the conversation from the kitchen, approached. What bad people, honey? Those people who were at the garage. Grandma said they want my bracelet and that they made my mom leave. Lily touched the golden piece unconsciously. Sometimes I think it would be better to give them the bracelet and ask them to leave my family alone. Don't think that, Mindy said firmly. People like that are never satisfied. They always want more. David, who had always been perceptive, became interested in the conversation. Can I see that bracelet? Lily extended her arm, and David examined the piece carefully. There are very small letters in here, he said, pointing to the inside. I can't read it very well. Grandma said it's the name of our family, Lily explained. Do you want me to try to find out what's written? I have a magnifying glass at school. You can try. That afternoon, when Mr. Harrison returned to pick up Lily, he found the girl visibly shaken. Mindy called him aside. More people showed up here looking for her, she reported. This time it was a couple who said they were from the church, offering help, but something didn't add up in their story. What kind of help? They wanted to know where she was living now, if she was being well taken care of, if she missed her grandmother. Mindy hesitated. Mr. Harrison, I have a bad feeling about all this. It's like they're surrounding the girl little by little. You're right. I'm going to take some steps to protect her better. As they were leaving, David handed a piece of paper to Lily. I managed to read what's written on your bracelet, he said. It's here. Lily looked at the paper. Property of the Campbell family, 1889. What does this mean? She asked Mr. Harrison. Mr. Harrison felt his stomach turn cold. The inscription confirmed what Vance had said. The bracelet really belonged to the Campbells, and they had proof of it. It means that your bracelet is very old and valuable, he said carefully, and that there are people who want it back. But Grandma said it was from our family. Sometimes things are more complicated than they seem, honey. That night, after putting Lily to bed, Mr. Harrison received a call that changed everything. Mr. Harrison? Came a weak female voice from the other end of the line. Yes? I'm Rose Taylor, Lily's mother. Mr. Harrison felt his heart race. Rose, how did you get my number? Paul gave it to me. He said you're taking care of my daughter. Her voice was choked with tears. Is it true? It's true. Lily is safe with me. Your mother Bess is hospitalized but recovering well. How is my girl? She's brave, intelligent and beautiful, and she misses you very much. Mr. Harrison paused. Rose, Lily deserves to know that you're alive. I know, but if I show up, they'll hurt her. The Campbells made that very clear. What if there was a way for you to meet without risk? There's no way without risk, Mr. Harrison. They have eyes everywhere. Rose coughed, a worrying sound. I'm calling because I'm getting very sick. If something happens to me, promise you'll take care of Lily. I promise, but nothing's going to happen to you. We'll find a solution. The bracelet. Does she still have the bracelet? She does. But we discovered the inscription. Rose, did you know that it belonged to the Campbells? I knew, but I also know that they got it dishonestly. I heard conversations. That bracelet was stolen from a poor family decades ago. The Campbells lied about how they got it. Do you have proof of this? I do. Hidden in a safe place. But if I show up to retrieve them... The call was abruptly interrupted. Mr. Harrison tried to call back, but the number didn't complete the call. He went upstairs to check on Lily, who was sleeping peacefully hugged to her teddy bear. Looking at that innocent child, Mr. Harrison made a decision that would change the course of everything. No matter how powerful the Campbells were, he would do what was necessary to reunite Lily with her mother and protect both of them. But first, he needed to find out exactly what evidence Rose possessed and where she had hidden it. Saturday morning brought an unexpected surprise. Mr. Harrison was awakened by the sound of the doorbell ringing insistently at 7 o'clock. Through the window, he saw a city official car parked in front of the gate. His heart raced. It was too early to be an ordinary social visit. "Mr. Harrison, there are people at the door," Lily said, appearing in the hallway still in her pajamas, her hair disheveled. "Go to your room and stay there until I talk to you," he instructed gently but firmly. At the door, he found Bernice accompanied by an older man who introduced himself as Dr. Arthur Franklin from the Willow Creek Child Protective Services. "Mr. Harrison, we need to assess the conditions in which the minor is being kept," Dr. Franklin announced without preamble. "At this hour, on a Saturday." "Urgent situations don't respect conventional schedules," Bernice replied coldly. "We have a court order for this inspection." Mr. Harrison examined the documents presented, finding that they were legitimate. "You can come in, but I ask that you be respectful. Lily is a child who has already gone through many traumas." As the two toured the house, making detailed notes, Mr. Harrison watched them carefully. Dr. Franklin seemed genuinely interested in the well-being of the child, asking pertinent questions about food, school, and medical care. Bernice, however, focused on aspects that seemed to be looking for problems where they didn't exist. "Does the child have her own room?" Dr. Franklin asked. "She does. You can see it." The room that Mr. Harrison had improvised for Lily was clean and organized with new toys that he had bought and drawings by the girl pasted on the wall. "Can I talk to the minor?" Dr. Franklin asked. "Of course. Lily, can you come here?" The girl appeared timidly, holding her teddy bear. "Doctor." Franklin crouched down to be at her level. "Hi, Lily. I'm Dr. Franklin. Can I ask you a few questions?" "You can," she replied, but staying close to Mr. Harrison. "Do you like living here?" "I like it a lot. Mr. Harrison is very good to me." "Does he treat you well? Does he give you good food?" "He treats me very well, and the food here is tasty." Lily looked at Mr. Harrison with affection. "He even lets me choose what I want to eat." "And do you miss your grandmother?" Lily's eyes filled with tears. "I miss her a lot, but Mr. Harrison takes me to visit her at the hospital every day." Dr. Franklin asked a few more basic questions, clearly satisfied with the answers. Bernice, however, intercepted the conversation. "Lily, do you know that there are other families who would like to take care of you, families with children your age to play with? But I want to stay with Mr. Harrison until Grandma gets better," Lily replied, confused. "What if a very rich family showed up, who could give you lots of toys and pretty clothes?" Mr. Harrison intervened. "I think that's enough. The child shouldn't be subjected to this type of questioning." "These are standard questions," Bernice justified, but Dr. Franklin also seemed uncomfortable with his colleague's approach. After they left, Lily clung to Mr. Harrison, visibly disturbed. "Mr. Harrison, are they going to take me away from you?" "I won't let that happen," he promised, hugging her. "But I need you to be very brave and help me solve some things." "How can I help?" "By telling me everything you remember about your mother. Anything she said about her work, about people, about problems." Lily concentrated. "Mom was always worried. She talked on the phone quietly, thinking I couldn't hear her. Once I heard her saying that she had seen things she shouldn't have seen. Do you remember anything else? She hid something under Grandma's mattress before she left. Grandma thought I didn't see, but I did." Mr. Harrison perked up. "Do you know what it was?" "It looked like papers, and she told Grandma that if something happened, she should look for someone who worked at the city newspaper." This new information sparked hope in Mr. Harrison. If Rose had left evidence with Bess, maybe there was still a chance to expose the Campbells. "Lily, would you mind if we went to visit your grandmother today and we could talk to her about it?" "I don't mind, but Grandma will be mad if she finds out you know her secrets." At the hospital, they found Bess visibly better but still weak. When Mr. Harrison delicately mentioned the situation with the Campbells, she turned pale. "How did you find out?" she asked, looking nervously at Lily. "People came after us. An investigator told me the truth." Mr. Harrison leaned forward. "Bess, Rose contacted me. She's alive, but sick and in hiding." Bess began to cry. "I knew she was alive, but I was afraid to tell Lily and give her false hope." "Grandma, I want to see my mom," Lily said, holding her grandmother's hand. "Honey, it's dangerous. Those bad people." "Bess," Mr. Harrison interrupted. "Lily told me that Rose hid some papers before she left. Where are they?" The woman hesitated, looking around the room to make sure they were alone. "They're in a sealed envelope, buried in the backyard of the garage, under the oak tree where Lily always played." "What kind of papers?" "Copies of documents she took from the Campbell's house, contracts, receipts, conversations she recorded on her cell phone," Bess whispered. "And a written confession about how they originally got the bracelet." "Confession from whom?" "From Mark Campbell himself. Rose heard him telling someone one night when he was drunk how his father had stolen the bracelet from a black family decades ago and forged documents to legitimize the possession." Mr. Harrison felt a wave of hope. If he could recover that evidence, he would have enough ammunition to face the Campbells. "We need to recover those documents today," he said. "It's risky. They may be watching the garage. Then we'll need a distraction." That afternoon, Mr. Harrison contacted Paul Vance and explained the situation. The investigator agreed to help, proposing a plan. While he distracted any surveillance in the area, Mr. Harrison would enter through the back of the garage to retrieve the documents. "But Mr. Harrison," Vance warned, "if we're discovered, the Campbells will know that we're close to exposing them. They may take drastic measures." "What kind of measures?" "They may try to kidnap Lily or force a transfer of guardianship through questionable legal means. Mark Campbell has judges in his pocket." Even so, Mr. Harrison decided to go ahead with the plan. He left Lily with Mindy, promising to be back in a few hours. The operation began at 6 in the evening. Vance parked ostentatiously in front of the garage, pretending to do a routine investigation about another matter. Meanwhile, Mr. Harrison entered through the back, heading to the backyard where the oak tree was. The envelope was exactly where Bess had said, wrapped in plastic and buried a few inches below the surface. When Mr. Harrison opened it, he found documents that confirmed his worst suspicions: fraudulent contracts, records of illegal payments, and most importantly, a recording in which Mark Campbell admitted how his family had forged the legitimacy of the bracelet. But as he was leaving the backyard, he heard voices approaching. It was Bernice and two men he didn't recognize, walking towards the back of the garage. "He must have come to get something," one of the men was saying. "The boss said the family hid evidence here." Mr. Harrison hid behind a dumpster, holding the envelope against his chest. If he was discovered with those documents, both he and Lily would be in grave danger. It was then that he heard something that chilled his blood. "If we can't recover the documents," Bernice said, "Plan B is simple. We take the child today. Judge Thompson has already signed the transfer order." "And the businessman?" "He'll be accused of child abduction. With the Campbell's influence, he won't be able to defend himself." Mr. Harrison realized that he had underestimated the extent of the Campbells' power. They weren't just protecting a secret. They were willing to destroy anyone who stood in their way, including an innocent child. He needed to get out of there immediately and protect Lily before it was too late. Mr. Harrison managed to leave the garage undetected, but his heart was beating so hard it seemed to echo through the narrow alleyways of Willow Creek. With the envelope of documents hidden under his jacket, he drove at high speed to Mindy's house, knowing that every minute could make the difference between saving Lily or losing her forever. When he arrived at the simple house in the working-class neighborhood, he found a scene that momentarily reassured him. Lily was playing in the backyard with Mindy's children, laughing as she tried to teach Peter how to make a paper airplane. The normality of that moment contrasted starkly with the danger that was approaching. "Mr. Harrison!" Lily shouted, running to hug him. "Look what I learned to make!" "Very nice, honey," he said, trying to hide the urgency in his voice. "I need to talk to Aunt Mindy for a minute." Mr. Harrison called Mindy into the house, away from the children's ears. "Mindy, the situation has become very serious. The Campbells got a court order to take Lily. It could be at any moment." "Oh, my God! And what can we do?" "I need to leave town with her for a few days, until I can use this evidence to expose the truth." Mr. Harrison showed the envelope. "These are documents that prove their corruption." "But isn't that fleeing?" "It could worsen your legal situation. It's already going to get worse anyway. They plan to accuse me of abduction." Mr. Harrison looked out the window, checking if there were any strange cars on the street. "Mindy, do you know any safe place where we can stay hidden for a few days? My sister has a house in a small town near Albany. It's very isolated." Mindy hesitated. "But, Mr. Harrison, are you sure this is the best thing for Lily? I'm sure that leaving her in the hands of the Campbells would be much worse." At that moment, David entered the room with a worried expression. "Mom, there's a black car parked at the end of the street for about 10 minutes. The guys inside are watching our house." Mr. Harrison felt his blood run cold. "It's now or never. Mindy, can you leave through the back door with Lily and take her to my car that's parked 2 streets away?" "I can, but what about you?" "I'll go out front and try to distract them." "That's very risky." "Everything is risky now." Mr. Harrison knelt and called Lily. "Honey, I need you to be very brave. We're going on a trip, but it has to be quick and secret." "Why? Did something happen? Remember those bad people who wanted to take you away from Grandma?" "They're trying again." Lily's eyes filled with fear. "Will they succeed?" "Not if you help me be smart. Go with Aunt Mindy by a different path, and I'll meet you at the car. It can be our secret adventure." "Like in the movies?" "Exactly like in the movies." While Mindy prepared to leave through the back with Lily, Mr. Harrison checked the documents one more time. Among the papers, he found something he hadn't noticed before. A handwritten letter from Rose to Lily, explaining the whole truth in a way that a child could understand. "My dear daughter," the letter began, "if you're reading this, it means that the bad people have discovered where we are. I want you to know that everything I did was to protect you. The bracelet you wear tells a sad story of a family that was robbed a long time ago. We are the descendants of that family, and one day you'll be able to prove it. Be strong, my flower. Your mom loves you more than anything in the world." The revelation that Lily was a legitimate descendant of the original owners of the bracelet changed everything. It wasn't just a matter of hiding evidence of corruption, it was about historical justice. 10 minutes later, Mr. Harrison went out the front door, walking casually towards the strange car. As expected, the occupants got out of the vehicle to intercept him. "Mr. Harrison?" said one of the men, a burly fellow in an ill-fitting suit. "Yes? We need to talk about the minor who's under your care." "She's not here," Mr. Harrison replied honestly, since Lily had left through the back. "We know she was. Our informants confirmed it." "Then your informants are wrong." As he maintained the conversation, Mr. Harrison saw, out of the corner of his eye, Mindy and Lily reaching his car 2 streets away. The distraction was working. "Mr. Harrison, we're going to have to ask you to come with us for questioning," said the second man, discreetly showing a handcuff. "On what authority?" "Court order. You're being investigated for interference with the well-being of a minor." It was then that Mr. Harrison made a desperate decision. He pretended to trip and fell, purposefully dropping the documents on the ground. While the men were distracted trying to see what the papers were, he got up and ran. "Get him!" one of the men shouted. Mr. Harrison ran through the narrow streets of the neighborhood, using his knowledge of the town to gain an advantage. After several minutes of pursuit, he managed to shake them in an area with many alleyways and reached the car where Mindy and Lily were waiting for him. "Did you make it?" Mindy asked, clearly nervous. "Just barely. Let's get out of here before they find the car." During the trip to Mindy's sister's house, Lily remained quiet, processing everything that was happening. Finally, she broke the silence. "Mr. Harrison, why do those people want so badly to take me away from you? Because you have something they want very much. The bracelet? Not just the bracelet. You represent something they've been trying to hide for a long time." "I don't understand." Mr. Harrison decided it was time for Lily to know the whole truth. He stopped the car on a side road and showed her Rose's letter. "Your mother wrote this to you. Do you want me to read it?" Lily nodded, and Mr. Harrison read the letter aloud. When he finished, the girl was crying, but there was also a new determination in her eyes. "My mom is very brave," she said. "Very brave. And so are you. Mr. Harrison, do you think we'll be able to stop those bad people?" "Yes, we will. But it's going to be difficult and dangerous. I'm not scared anymore. I want to help my mom." They arrived at Mindy's sister's house, a simple building in a small town called Elmwood. Maria, Mindy's sister, greeted them without asking questions, offering a small but clean room. That night, while Lily slept, Mr. Harrison called Paul Vance using a public phone. "Vance, I got the documents. They're more explosive than we imagined." "Where are you?" "In a safe place, but I need your help to get to Rose. Lily deserves to be reunited with her mother." "It's very risky. The Campbells are furious. They've already issued arrest warrants against you." "What for?" "Child abduction, obstruction of justice, trespassing." Vance paused. "Mr. Harrison, they have unlimited resources. They can keep up this pressure indefinitely. Then we need to act fast." "Where exactly is Rose hiding?" "In a boarding house in Springfield, but she's very sick. She may not last much longer. Then we'll go to her tomorrow. Lily needs to see her mother, and Rose needs to know that her daughter is safe. And then we use the documents to expose everything publicly. If we can get to the press before the Campbells catch us, maybe we'll have a chance. It's a risky plan. It's the only plan we have." The next morning, Lily woke up with a determination that surprised Mr. Harrison. The girl had matured years in one night, finally understanding that her journey was just beginning. "I'm ready to see my mom," she announced during breakfast. "Are you sure? It could be very emotional." "I'm sure. And then I want to help tell the truth about our family." Mr. Harrison looked at that extraordinary child who had transformed his life and knew that whatever happened, he would fight to the end to protect her and reunite her family. But he also knew that the next few days would be the most dangerous of all. The trip to Springfield was tense and silent. Mr. Harrison drove on side roads, avoiding toll booths and security cameras, while Lily watched the landscape through the window with a seriousness that wasn't typical of a 6-year-old. The anticipation of meeting her mother again mixed with the fear of the unknown. "Mr. Harrison, what if my mom doesn't recognize me?" Lily asked, as they passed through a rural town. "Of course she'll recognize you. Mothers never forget their children. But I've grown a lot. And maybe she's too sick to remember me." Mr. Harrison stopped the car in a small square and turned to look Lily in the eyes. "Honey, your mother spent 2 years suffering away from you precisely because she loves you too much. She's going to be so happy she might even cry with joy. Will I cry too? Probably, and there's nothing wrong with that." The St. Anthony's boarding house was on a busy street in downtown Springfield, an old 3-story building that housed temporary workers and people in difficult situations. The smell of home cooking mixed with the constant noise of traffic. Mr. Harrison parked on a side street and walked with Lily to the entrance. The owner, Mrs. Johnson, a 60-year-old woman with a wary look, greeted them at the front desk. "We're looking for Mary Smith," Mr. Harrison said, using the false name that Rose had adopted. "Room 23, 2nd floor, but she's very sick. She's hardly left her room in days." Climbing the creaking staircase, Lily held Mr. Harrison's hand tightly. When they reached room 23, he knocked gently on the door. "Mary, it's Mr. Harrison. I brought someone special to see you." They heard slow footsteps approaching, and the door opened slowly. The woman who appeared was clearly Rose, but Mr. Harrison was shocked by her appearance. She was extremely thin, with deep dark circles under her eyes and pale skin. When she saw Lily, her legs failed and she needed to lean on the doorframe. "My daughter," Rose whispered, tears already streaming down her face. "My beautiful girl." Lily was paralyzed for a few seconds, observing the fragile woman who stood before her. It was her mother, but so different from the image she held in her memory. Then, as if a barrier broke, she ran into Rose's arms. "Mom, I knew you were alive. I dreamed about you every night." The hug between mother and daughter was intense and desperate, as if they were trying to recover 2 years lost in a few minutes. Mr. Harrison needed to clear his own eyes, moved by the scene. "I'll let you talk," he said, but Rose stopped him. "Please stay. I need to thank you for taking care of my daughter." They sat on the simple bed in the small room. Rose couldn't stop touching Lily's face, as if she needed to confirm that it wasn't a dream. "You've grown so much, honey. You're so beautiful." "Mom, why did you leave? Why didn't you take me with you?" Rose looked at Mr. Harrison, who nodded encouragingly. "My dear, very bad people wanted to hurt you because of the bracelet you wear. I had to leave to protect you. But now can you come back? Mr. Harrison is taking care of me, and Grandma is getting better at the hospital." "It's not that simple, honey." Rose coughed, a worrying sound that revealed her weakened condition. "Those people still want to hurt us." "But Mr. Harrison found the papers you hid. He said they prove that the bracelet is ours by right." Rose turned to Mr. Harrison, surprised. "You managed to recover the documents?" "I did, and I discovered things you didn't even imagine." Mr. Harrison took some papers out of the folder. "Rose, your family not only has a right to the bracelet, you're also the sole legitimate heirs to a property worth millions." "What do you mean?" "The family that was robbed by the Campbells decades ago owned land in downtown Willow Creek. When they died, the property should have been inherited by their descendants, but the Campbells forged documents and appropriated everything." Rose covered her mouth, shocked. "That means that Lily is not only the rightful owner of the bracelet, but also of land that is now worth a fortune." Lily, who was listening to everything without fully understanding, asked the most important question. "Does that mean we're going to be rich?" "It means that you're going to have the resources to defend yourselves and live with dignity," Mr. Harrison replied. Rose began to cough violently, and Mr. Harrison realized that she was worse than he had imagined. "Rose, you need urgent medical care. I don't have money for a doctor, and if I use my real name, the Campbells will find me. Then we'll use a false name, and I'll pay all the costs. You've already done too much for us." "I haven't done enough yet." Mr. Harrison knelt beside her. "Rose, your daughter gave me back the will to live. Taking care of you isn't an obligation, it's a privilege." At that moment, Lily took the bracelet off her wrist and offered it to her mother. "Mom, if this bracelet causes so many problems, you can have it. I just want to be near you." Rose took the bracelet with trembling hands, but immediately gave it back. "No, my daughter. This bracelet represents our history, our dignity. One day you'll wear it with pride, knowing that we achieved justice." "When will that day come?" "Very soon," Mr. Harrison said with determination. "But first, we need to take care of your mother's health." They took Rose to Springfield General Hospital, where Mr. Harrison took responsibility for all the costs using a fictitious name. The doctors confirmed that she had severe heart disease, aggravated by stress and poor diet. "She needs urgent surgery, doctor," Kramer explained to the group. "Without the procedure, she won't last much longer." "Do everything that's necessary," Mr. Harrison said immediately. While Rose was hospitalized for surgical preparation, Mr. Harrison and Lily stayed at a nearby hotel. That night, the girl had difficulty sleeping. "Mr. Harrison, is my mum going to be okay? The doctors will take very good care of her." And after the surgery, will the three of us be able to live together? The question touched Mr. Harrison deeply, who had become so attached to Lily that he could no longer imagine life without her. Lily, when your mother gets better, she'll want to take care of you. But I want you to take care of me too. Can you be like a father to me? It would be the greatest honor of my life. Then ask her, okay? The next morning, Paul Vance called with worrying news. Mr. Harrison, the Campbells found out that you left Willow Creek. They're offering a reward for information about your whereabouts. How much time do we have? A few days at most. They have private detectives scouring the entire region. And the press? Did you manage to contact any journalists? Yes, Martha Jones from the Valley News. She agreed to investigate the story, but she'll need all the evidence organized. Prepare everything. As soon as Rose is out of surgery, we'll expose everything publicly. Hope there's enough time. That afternoon, while Rose was in the operating room, Mr. Harrison received a call that changed everything. Mr. Harrison? Came an authoritative male voice. Who's speaking? Mark Campbell. I think it's time we talked like civilized adults. Mr. Harrison's blood ran cold. How did you get this number? I have resources that you can't even imagine. Where's the child? In a safe place. Mr. Harrison, let's stop this game. You have no idea who you're dealing with. I can destroy your financial and personal life with a phone call. And I can destroy your reputation with the documents I possess. Mark laughed coldly. Documents can disappear. So can people. The veiled threat made Mr. Harrison realize that time had run out. The Campbells were no longer going to try to resolve the situation through legal means. Now it was an open war. And Lily was at the center of it. Rose's surgery lasted 4 tense hours. Mr. Harrison remained in the hospital waiting room holding Lily, who alternated between moments of absolute silence and anguished questions about her mother's condition. The hospital environment, with its characteristic smell of disinfectant and the constant noise of equipment, intensified the anxiety of both. "Why is it taking so long?" Lily asked for the 10th time, watching through the hallway window. "Important surgeries take time, honey. The doctors are being very careful." "Mr. Harrison, if something happens to my mom, will I be an orphan?" The question broke Mr. Harrison's heart. "Nothing's going to happen. And even if it did, you'd never be alone. I'll always take care of you. Promise?" "I promise with all my heart." At 6 in the evening, Dr. Kramer finally appeared, still wearing his surgical scrubs. His expression was serious, but not devastating. "The surgery was a success," he announced, and Lily let out a cry of joy. "We managed to repair the damaged valves. Your mother will need a few days to recover, but the prognosis is good." "Can I see her?" Lily asked immediately. "She's still sleeping from the anesthesia, but you can take a quick look." In the ICU room, Rose looked small and fragile among the machines and tubes, but her breathing was more stable. Lily held her mother's hand delicately. "Mom, the doctor said you're going to be okay. Now the three of us will be able to stay together forever." Mr. Harrison was observing the scene when his cell phone vibrated. It was a message from Paul Vance. "Critical situation. Campbell mobilized private security team. Leave the city immediately." "Lily, we need to talk," he said gently, leading the girl into the hallway. "Did something happen? The bad people found out where we are. We're going to have to leave for a few days." "But what about my mom? I can't leave her alone." "Your mother will be safe here in the hospital. I'm going to leave money so that she has the best care." Mr. Harrison knelt in front of Lily. "But you can't stay here. It's too dangerous. I don't want to leave. I just found my mom." "I know, honey, but if the bad men catch you, your mom will be very sad. We need to be smart." After much talking, Lily agreed to leave, but only after leaving a drawing and a little letter for Rose. On the paper she had written in her childish handwriting, "Mom, I'm going to be away for a little while. Mr. Harrison will protect me. I love you very much." Lily. They left the hospital at 8 in the evening, heading to a rural inn that Vance had indicated. It was on a side road between Springfield and Hartford, an isolated location where they could go unnoticed. During the trip, Mr. Harrison explained to Lily the plan he was forming. Tomorrow, we're going to meet a very important journalist. She's going to tell our story in the newspaper so everyone will know the truth, and then the bad people will stop chasing us. When everyone knows they're criminals, they won't be able to hurt anyone anymore. And after that, can I go back to my mum? You can. And we'll all live together in a big house where you can have your own room and play in the yard. The Green Valley Inn was simple but welcoming, run by an elderly couple who didn't ask inconvenient questions. Mr. Harrison registered under a false name and paid in cash for 3 nights. That night, Lily had difficulty sleeping. Around midnight, she woke up Mr. Harrison. "Mr. Harrison, I'm scared." "Scared of what? What if when all this is over, you don't want to take care of me anymore? What if my mum thinks I'm a problem?" Mr. Harrison sat on the bed and hugged the girl. "Lily, in all my life, I've never met anyone as brave and special as you. Taking care of you isn't a problem. It's the most important thing I've ever done. Even without being your blood father? Lily, family isn't about blood. It's about love, care, protection. And I love you as if you were my real daughter." The girl smiled for the first time in hours. "I love you too, Mr. Harrison. You're the father I always wanted to have." The next morning, Martha Jones, a journalist from the Valley News, arrived at the inn in an old VW van. She was a 40-year-old woman with curly hair and a determined look that inspired confidence. "Mr. Harrison, I'm Martha. Paul told me your story, but I need to hear everything in detail." For 2 hours, Mr. Harrison recounted the entire chronology of events, showing the documents he had recovered. Martha asked precise questions and took meticulous notes. "This is one of the most impressive stories I've ever investigated," she said finally. "Corruption, historical injustice, persecution of a child. It's going to make a huge impact. When can you publish it?" "Tomorrow, in the Sunday edition. But Mr. Harrison, I need you to understand. After this article comes out, there's no turning back. The Campbells are going to use all their resources to defend themselves. We're already beyond the point of no return." "And the girl? Does she understand the magnitude of all this?" Mr. Harrison looked at Lily, who was playing in the inn's garden, apparently unaware of the gravity of the situation. "She knows we're fighting for justice. That's what matters." Martha approached Lily. "Hi, Lily. Can I ask you a few questions?" "You can," the girl replied, sitting next to Mr. Harrison. "Do you understand why these people want your bracelet? Because they stole it from my family a long time ago, and now they want to keep lying. And aren't you afraid?" "I am. But my mom taught me that when something is right, we have to fight even if we're scared." "Very well. And what do you want to happen at the end of all this?" "I want my mom to get better, for Grandma to get out of the hospital, and for us to all live together in a house where no one can hurt us." Martha smiled, clearly touched by the child's wisdom. "I'm going to do everything possible to make that happen." After the journalist left, Mr. Harrison received a call that alarmed him. It was from the hospital in Springfield. "Mr. Harrison, there was an incident with the patient Mary Smith," the nurse said. "What kind of incident?" "2 people introduced themselves as her relatives and tried to remove her from the hospital. When our staff asked for documentation, they refused and left." "How's Rose?" "Physically well, but very scared. She wants to talk to you urgently." "I can't go there right now. Can you transfer me to her?" A few minutes later, Rose's weak voice echoed on the phone. "Mr. Harrison, they found me. Are you safe now?" "For now, but I know they'll be back." Rose began to cry. "I'm afraid I'll never see my daughter again." "You will. Tomorrow our story will be in the newspaper. When everyone knows the truth, they won't be able to do anything anymore." "What if it doesn't work?" It will work. Trust me. I do. And Mr. Harrison, and thank you for taking care of Lily as if she were your own daughter. She is my daughter, from the heart. That night, Mr. Harrison barely slept. He knew that the next 24 hours would define the future of all of them. Either they would manage to expose the Campbells and win their freedom, or they would be destroyed by people with unlimited resources and few scruples. Looking at Lily, sleeping peacefully beside him, Mr. Harrison renewed his determination. That extraordinary child deserved to have her family reunited and live without fear, and he would do anything to guarantee that. But he had the feeling that the final battle was yet to come. Sunday dawned grey at the Green Valley Inn. Mr. Harrison woke up at 5 in the morning, anxious for the publication of Martha Jones's article. Lily was still sleeping soundly, hugging the teddy bear that had become her inseparable companion throughout this turbulent journey. At 7 o'clock, Mr. Harrison drove to the nearest town to buy the newspaper. When he saw the headline on the front page, he felt a mixture of relief and apprehension. Wealthy family in Willow Creek involved in corruption scheme and persecution of a 6-year-old child. The article occupied 3 full pages, with photos of the documents, details about the money laundering scheme, and, most importantly, the touching story of Lily and her family. Martha had done an exceptional job, presenting all the evidence clearly and impactfully. When he returned to the inn, he found Lily awake, sitting on the porch, observing the birds in the garden. "Good morning, honey. Did you sleep well?" "I dreamed about my mom. She was in a beautiful house, healed, singing to me." Lily smiled shyly. "It was a good dream. It can become reality very soon." Mr. Harrison showed her the newspaper. "Our story is here. Everyone will know the truth." Lily looked at the pages, recognizing her own photo, an image that Martha had taken the day before, showing a serious but determined girl holding the gold bracelet. Now the bad people will stop chasing us? Now they're going to have to explain to everyone why they were doing wrong things. Mr. Harrison's cell phone began to ring incessantly. There were calls from other journalists, lawyers offering help, and ordinary people expressing support. The story had deeply touched public opinion. One of the calls, however, was different. "This is D.A. Frida Cole from the San Jose District Attorney's Office," said a firm female voice. "I read the article in the newspaper and would like to talk to you about the case." "Of course, ma'am." "Mr. Harrison, based on the evidence presented in the report, my office will open an official investigation against the Campbell family. But I need you and the minor to come in and testify." "When?" "As soon as possible. The Campbells have already hired a team of very expensive lawyers and are trying to discredit the evidence. We'll be there today." But as Mr. Harrison was preparing to leave, he received a call that changed all the plans. "Mr. Harrison," came a nervous voice from the Springfield General Hospital. "There's been a serious problem with the patient Mary Smith." "What kind of problem?" "She disappeared during the night. She simply wasn't in the room when the nurse went to medicate her at 5 in the morning. Mr. Harrison's world crumbled. "How does a post-surgical patient disappear from a hospital? We're investigating. There are indications that she may have left of her own free will, but there's also the possibility that she was removed against her will. Rose would never leave without telling me, especially knowing that Lily was waiting for her." Mr. Harrison hung up the phone, his hands trembling. How would he tell Lily that her mother had disappeared again, just when they were about to be reunited for good? "Mr. Harrison, you look scared," Lily observed, immediately noticing the change in his behavior. "Honey, I need to tell you something difficult." "It's about my mom, right?" Lily's insight always surprised him. "It is. She's no longer in the hospital." "Did the bad men take her away?" "We don't know yet. It may be that she left on her own to protect herself." Lily was silent for a long time, processing the information. When she spoke, her voice was calm but filled with a deep sadness. "She did it again, didn't she? She left to protect me. Maybe. Mr. Harrison, is my mom going to be running all her life from those people? Not if I can help it. At that moment, the cell phone rang again. It was Paul Vance, clearly agitated. Mr. Harrison, the situation exploded. The newspaper article caused an earthquake. The Campbells are desperate. Did you find out anything about Rose? I did. She wasn't kidnapped. She fled the hospital of her own free will during the night. How do you know? Because she called me an hour ago. She's hidden in a church in Albany, but she's very weak. The surgery was successful, but she removed the stitches herself so she could leave. My God, she could have an internal hemorrhage. Exactly. That's why we need to pick her up urgently. Why did she do it? Because Mark Campbell visited the hospital last night. He told her that if she didn't hand over all the documents and convince you to stop with the lies, something terrible would happen to Lily. Mr. Harrison looked at the girl, who was playing distractedly with the bracelet. Rose's courage in sacrificing her own recovery to protect her daughter was both touching and heartbreaking. Where exactly is she? At the Church of the Sacred Heart in Albany. But Mr. Harrison, it's very risky. The Campbells certainly have people looking for her in the area. I don't care about the risk. I'm going to get her. What about the girl? Mr. Harrison looked at Lily again. Taking her would be dangerous, but leaving her would be unthinkable after everything they had been through together. She's coming with me. I'm not going to separate from her now. During the trip to Albany, Lily asked a question that broke Mr. Harrison's heart. Mr. Harrison, if my mum dies because of this bracelet, I'm going to hate her forever. Don't say that, honey. It's true. She's hurting herself because of something that isn't even that important. Lily took the bracelet off her wrist. I want to give this to those people and ask them to leave my family alone. Lily, it's not about the bracelet. It's about justice. I don't care about justice. I just want my mom alive and my grandma healed. It was the first time Mr. Harrison had seen Lily truly revolted, and he understood that the situation had exceeded the limits of what a 6-year-old could bear. You have a right to be angry, he said. But your mother isn't doing this just for the bracelet. She's doing it because she wants you to grow up in a world where bad people can't hurt innocent children. But if she dies, what's the point of a better world? The question had no easy answer, and Mr. Harrison decided to be completely honest. I don't know, honey. Sometimes adults make decisions that don't seem to make sense, but I promise one thing. I'm going to do everything for your mom to be okay, and for you to be together. They arrived in Albany at noon. The Church of the Sacred Heart was full of worshippers, and Mr. Harrison needed to search carefully among the people to locate Rose. He found her sitting on the last bench, wearing a scarf on her head as a disguise. She was visibly weakened, but her eyes lit up when she saw Lily. "My daughter," she whispered, hugging the girl carefully so as not to reopen the stitches. "Mom, why did you run away again?" "Because I want to protect you. But if you die trying to protect me, I'm going to be alone anyway." Lily's childish logic touched Rose deeply, who began to cry. "You're right, my flower. I'm being selfish." "Rose," Mr. Harrison interrupted. "You need to go back to the hospital urgently." "I can't. They'll find me there." "Then we'll go to another hospital in another city, but you can't stay like this." It was then that Lily made a decision that surprised everyone. She stood up, walked to the altar of the church, and knelt down. "God," she said loudly enough for other worshippers to hear, "if you really exist, make my mom get well and our family stay together. In exchange, I promise to be a very good girl and help other children who are suffering like I suffered." The simplicity and sincerity of Lily's prayer moved everyone present. Several people approached, offering help and protection. It was then that, in a church in Albany, surrounded by kind strangers, Mr. Harrison realized that perhaps there were more people willing to fight for good than he had imagined. But he also knew that the final battle against the Campbells was just beginning. The Church of Albany had transformed into an improvised sanctuary for the family, After Lily's prayer, several people approached offering genuine help. Among them was Father Michael, a 60-year-old man who ran the parish and had experience protecting people in vulnerable situations. "My daughter needs urgent medical care," Mr. Harrison explained to the priest, discreetly showing the improvised bandages that Rose was using to hide the broken stitches. "I know a trusted doctor who can treat her in secret," Father Michael replied. "Dr. Peterson works voluntarily in our community and doesn't ask inconvenient questions." Half an hour later, Dr. Peterson arrived at the church sacristy. He was a 50-year-old man, retired, who dedicated his free time to helping people in need. When he examined Rose, his expression turned grave. "Ma'am, the surgery was successful, but by removing the stitches yourself, you caused a small internal hemorrhage," he explained. "I need to do some urgent procedures, but I can't guarantee it will be enough without hospital equipment." "Doctor, do what you can," Rose pleaded, holding Lily's hand. "I just want to have enough time to see my daughter grow up." "Don't talk like that, Mom," Lily protested. "You're going to get better, and we're all going to live together." While Dr. Peterson worked, Mr. Harrison received a call from Martha Jones. "Mr. Harrison, the repercussion of the article has exceeded all expectations," the journalist said, clearly excited. "Other media outlets are reproducing the story, and there's a mobilization on social media calling for justice for Lily. Is that good?" "It's great. The more exposure, the harder it becomes for the Campbells to use their influence to stifle the case." Martha paused. "But it also means they're more desperate. My source in the police told me they hired private security guards to look for you. We're safe for now." "For now." "Mr. Harrison, I received information that they're preparing an alternative version of the facts, trying to portray you as opportunists who invented the story to blackmail the family." "How do they intend to do that?" "They'll claim that the bracelet was actually stolen by Rose, that you forged the documents, and that you're using Lily to arouse public pity." Mr. Harrison felt anger grow in his chest. "Those people have no limits. That's why it's crucial that you present yourselves to the authorities before they control the narrative." When the call ended, Dr. Peterson had finished treating Rose. "I managed to stop the bleeding and redo the stitches," he informed him, "but Mrs. Taylor needs absolute rest for at least a week." "Doctor, we don't have a week," Mr. Harrison said. "Dangerous people are looking for us." "Then I'm going to suggest something," Father Michael interjected. "We have a retreat house on the outskirts of the city, in an isolated location. You can stay there while you resolve the legal situation." "Would it be safe?" "Our community protects those in need, and after the prayer of this special girl, half the sanctuary has mobilized to help you." It was then, at the end of the afternoon, that they moved to the St. Francis Retreat House, a simple but welcoming building surrounded by mountains. Lily was fascinated with the peaceful environment, where she could finally play without fear. "Mr. Harrison, this looks like a place where angels live," she commented, watching the sunset over the mountains. "Maybe it is." That night, while Rose rested and Lily slept, Mr. Harrison spoke at length with Father Michael about the situation. "Father, I'm afraid that this fight is bigger than I can win. The Campbells have unlimited resources. My son, sometimes God puts people in our lives to test our capacity for unconditional love," the priest replied. "Do you think it was a coincidence to find Lily just when your life was empty?" "I don't know what to believe anymore." "Believe in the love you feel for this child. That's the only guide you need." The next morning, an unexpected surprise changed the course of everything. Mindy arrived at the retreat house, accompanied by her son, David, and by someone Mr. Harrison didn't expect to see, Bess, who had been discharged from the hospital. "Grandma!" Lily shouted, running to hug the grandmother who was visibly recovered. "My dear granddaughter, how I've missed you," Bess said, hugging the girl with tears in her eyes. "How did you find us?" Mr. Harrison asked. "Father Michael called Mindy," David explained, "and we brought some important news." "What news?" I managed to fully translate the inscription on the bracelet, said the young man, showing a piece of paper. It's not just property of the Campbell family. There's more written in tiny letters. David showed his notes. Stolen from the Taylor family in 1889. Returned to the rightful heirs. Property of Hope Taylor and descendants. The silence that followed was profound. Rose, who had woken up with the commotion, covered her mouth in shock. Hope Taylor was my great-grandmother, she whispered. I always heard stories that our family had been rich, but lost everything unfairly. That means that the bracelet itself is proof that you are the rightful owners, Mr. Harrison said, moved. More than that, added David. I researched in the city archives and found documents from 1889 about a robbery. The Taylor family was really stripped of their land and assets by the predecessors of the Campbells. Lily, who was listening to everything without fully understanding, asked a simple question. Does that mean we're rich? It means that you have a right to justice, Mr. Harrison replied, and that we're going to be able to sue the Campbells for everything they did to us, added Rose, with a determination that Mr. Harrison hadn't seen for a long time. That afternoon, they received a visit from D.A. Frida Cole, the prosecutor who had offered help. She came accompanied by a bailiff and by Robert Smith, the lawyer Mr. Harrison had hired. Based on the new evidence and the repercussion of the case, announced D.A. Cole, the district attorney's office is offering official protection to the Taylor family, while the criminal process against the Campbell family is underway. What kind of protection? Asked Mr. Harrison. Safe house, escort when necessary, and most importantly, a guarantee that Lily will remain with the family she has chosen. And the Campbells? They've already been notified. Mark Campbell is being investigated for corruption, money laundering, threat and coercion. His political influence won't save him this time. Robert Smith spoke up. Mr. Harrison, with the evidence we have now, you can not only defend yourselves but also file a historical redress action. We're talking about an indemnity that could reach millions. I don't care about the money, Mr. Harrison said. I just want this family to have peace. And it will, guaranteed D.A. Cole. The case has already become a national symbol of the fight against impunity. There's no way the Campbells can escape. That night, for the first time in months, everyone slept peacefully. Rose was recovering well, Bess had returned to be near her granddaughter, and Lily could finally dream of a future without fear. But the story wasn't over yet. At 2 in the morning, Mr. Harrison was awakened by strange noises from outside the house. When he looked out the window, he saw shadows moving in the garden. Father Michael, he whispered, waking the priest who was sleeping in the next room. What is it? I think we've been discovered. It was true. Despite all the precautions, the Campbells had found the hiding place. But this time, they weren't just coming to intimidate, they were coming to resolve the situation once and for all. The shadows in the garden approached slowly toward the St. Francis retreat house. Mr. Harrison quickly woke up everyone else, whispering urgent instructions to remain silent. Lily, scared but confident in the protection of the adults around her, held Rose's hand tightly. How many are there? Asked Father Michael, peering discreetly through the window. 3 men, from what I can see, Mr. Harrison replied, and a car parked on the road. It was then that they heard a familiar voice calling from outside. Mr. Harrison, we know you're in there. We just want to talk. It was Mark Campbell personally, accompanied by 2 private security guards. His presence there revealed the desperation of the situation. A powerful man like him wouldn't show up personally in the middle of the night unless it was absolutely necessary. We're not opening the door, Mr. Harrison whispered. Mr. Harrison, Mark continued, raising his voice, I know you have the girl in there. I came to propose a deal that benefits everyone. What deal? Mr. Harrison shouted from the window without showing himself. $10 million for you to disappear from the city and never talk about this story again. In exchange, the child can stay with you and live comfortably far away from here. The proposal left everyone in silence. It was an amount sufficient to guarantee a luxurious life for Lily for the rest of her life. "And if we refuse," Mr. Harrison asked, "then I'll use all my resources to destroy you. I have judges, politicians, and businessmen in my pocket. I can make you lose everything, including custody of the child." At that moment, Lily let go of Rose's hand and walked towards the door. Before anyone could stop her, she opened the door and went out onto the porch. "Hi, Mr. Campbell," she said, with the impressive calm that she always demonstrated in moments of tension. Mark was visibly surprised to see the girl, a small child, barely 6 years old, facing him without fear. "Hello, Lily. You're even more beautiful than in the newspaper photos." "Thank you. Did you come to get my bracelet?" "I came to propose a deal to your family." "What kind of deal?" Mr. Harrison, Rose, and the others watched from the door, ready to intervene if necessary, but fascinated by Lily's courage. "A lot of money in exchange for you to leave Willow Creek," Mark explained, trying to use a gentle tone. "And why do you want us to leave so badly?" Because this whole story is causing problems for my family." "What kind of problems?" Mark hesitated, clearly not expecting to be questioned by a child. "Business problems, adult things." "Mr. Campbell," Lily said, taking the bracelet off her wrist, "do you want to see my bracelet?" "I do," he replied, his eyes gleaming with greed. Lily approached and showed him the piece, but keeping it out of his reach. "Do you know what's written inside here?" "I know." "Did you read the part that says, 'Return to the rightful heirs'?" The embarrassment on Mark's face was evident. "Girl, these things are complicated." "They're not complicated. It's simple. This bracelet was from my family. Your grandparents stole it, and now you have to give it back." Lily put the bracelet back on her wrist. "My mom taught me that when we do something wrong, we have to apologize and make it right." "Lily, you're too young to understand." "Yes, I do. I understand that you made my mom sick from so much fear, made my grandma suffer, and tried to separate me from the people I love." Lily's voice remained calm, but filled with a wisdom that impressed everyone present. "Do you think money will fix that?" Mark looked at the girl, then at Mr. Harrison and Rose at the door, and realized that he was facing something that his money and influence couldn't buy. A family united by true love. "What do you want then?" he asked, for the first time without arrogance in his voice. "We want you to stop chasing us, stop hurting other people, and give back everything you stole from our family so many years ago," Lily replied. "And if I do that, will you stop with the accusations?" It was Mr. Harrison who answered, stepping out onto the porch and placing his hand on Lily's shoulder. "Mark, we're not making accusations. The authorities are investigating crimes. The only thing we want is to live in peace. And if I return the lands that belong to the Taylor family, then you'll be doing the right thing," said Rose, joining them. "Finally!" At that moment, they heard the sound of sirens approaching. Frida Cole had established a protection scheme, and the suspicious movement had been detected. "Mr. Campbell," said the officer who commanded the police team, "I need you to come with me for questioning." "On what charge?" "Witness intimidation, trespassing, and several others that are being investigated." Before being led away, Mark looked once more at Lily. "Girl, you won this time." "I didn't win anything, Mr. Campbell. I just want everyone to be happy." Lily's response touched deeply the man who had spent decades accumulating power through fear and corruption. For the first time, he understood what he had lost by choosing that path. 3 months later, life had completely transformed for everyone. The Campbell family, after a judicial agreement mediated by the district attorney's office, returned the historical lands of the Taylor family and paid substantial compensation for the damages caused. Mark was sentenced to 2 years in prison on a work release program and community service. Rose had fully recovered from the surgery and was now working as the administrator of the recovered family properties. Bess lived in a comfortable house, taking care of a small garden where Lily planted flowers every weekend. Mr. Harrison had sold his company and devoted himself entirely to taking care of his new family. He and Rose had married in a simple ceremony at the Church of the Sacred Heart in Willow Creek, with Lily as the flower girl and Bess as the special bridesmaid. "Dad Harrison," Lily said one Sunday morning, using the term she had adopted after the wedding, "can I ask you a question?" "You can ask all the questions you want," he replied, as he helped her build a wooden house in the backyard of the new house. "Do you think Mr. Campbell learned to be a better person?" "I hope so. People can change when they understand they did wrong things. And do you think our family is going to be happy forever?" Mr. Harrison stopped working and looked at that extraordinary girl who had transformed his life. "Lily, I don't know if anyone can be happy forever. But I know that we're going to face everything that comes our way together. And if new problems appear, then we'll solve them together too. Like a real family? Like the truest family there is." That afternoon, while Rose prepared Sunday lunch and Bess told stories to Lily on the porch, Mr. Harrison observed the scene with deep gratitude. He had lost a wife, but gained an entire family. He had faced powerful enemies, but discovered that love was a force more powerful than any influence or money. The gold bracelet was now kept in a safe, no longer as an object of dispute, but as a symbol of a justice finally restored. Lily wore it only on special occasions, preferring the simple toys and the moments of joy with her family. Mindy and her children became part of the extended family, visiting regularly and participating in all celebrations. David had obtained a scholarship to study law, inspired by the fight he had witnessed. Father Michael always said that Lily's prayer that afternoon in the church had been answered in a very special way. The girl had asked for her family to stay together and to be able to help other children who were suffering, and that was exactly what happened. With the resources obtained through the compensation, they created the Hope Taylor Foundation, dedicated to helping children in situations of social vulnerability. Lily, even at 6 years old, actively participated in the activities, always saying that she wanted to help other boys and girls find their families of the heart. "Do you know what I learned, Dad Harrison?" she said one night, as he tucked her into bed. "What did you learn, my dear?" "That sometimes bad things happen so we can find the good things that were hidden." "Explain that better." "If Mrs. Davis hadn't been mean to me, I would never have met you. If the bad men hadn't chased my mum, we never would have discovered the truth about our family." Lily smiled. So, in a strange way, even the bad things helped. Mr. Harrison kissed the girl's forehead, marveling at her ability to transform pain into wisdom. "Good night, my daughter." "Good night, Dad. Dream of birds flying free." And that was exactly what Mr. Harrison did. He dreamed of free birds flying high over Willow Creek, carrying news that sometimes happy endings really happen for those who have the courage to fight for them. The story of Lily, the 6-year-old girl who faced giants and won through love, became legend in the town. And every time someone told that story, it ended the same way. And they lived happily, protecting each other and proving that family isn't about blood, but about choosing to love unconditionally.